Christians often tell me that I'm taking the Bible quotes out of context. They tell me that if I understood the historical context or the ancient society that existed when the Bible was written, I'd understand better. Well, I've given this idea of context some thought, and I have a question. Imagine the scene. A young woman is raped. She's terrified, paralyzed with fear. She knows that there's a fair chance she'll be killed once the rapist is finished with her, in case she's able to identify him later. She's so terrified, she can't even scream. I mean, we've all been there, haven't we? Too frightened to make a sound, no matter how hard we try. But the rapist doesn't kill her. He simply does what he thinks he has a right to do and leaves her crying in the gutter, where she remains in a state of shock, trying to make sense of what's just happened and the implications her lost virginity might have in that ancient patriarchal society. Eventually dawn arrives, and she's discovered still lying there semi-naked in the street. It's obvious what's happened. And so the young woman is brought before the elders, who ask her, who did this? But the poor girl doesn't know. She never saw the rapist's face, which was covered by his headdress, and she couldn't bring to mind any identifying details. She's traumatized, in a state of shock. And so then the question is asked, did you cry for help? Nobody heard her cry out, and so the verdict is given. She wanted this. She's a fornicator. And so, still traumatized, still unable to make sense of what's happening, the townspeople, her friends and neighbours, perhaps even her own family among them, drag her to the outskirts of town, bury her waist deep, her hands bound behind her back, and bombard her with boulders. These wouldn't be small rocks, breaking bones and tearing her skin until her torso and clothing are stained red. She can hear the cracking of ribs, of arms and jaw, and feel the excruciating pain as stone after stone is rained upon her. Eventually, almost mercifully, a large rock crashes down upon her fragile skull, and she dies. Still half buried, her bloody torso sticking out of the earth, undignified, uncared for, and unpitied. So tell me, Christians, in what context, in what period of history could this scenario, a scenario demanded by your God, who, let's face it, didn't have to describe women who weren't virgins in the way that he did, in what context could this scenario that your God demands ever be justified? Deuteronomy chapter 22, beginning at verse 23. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto a husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her, then ye shall bring them both out unto the gate of that city, and you shall stone them with stones that they die. The damsel because she cried not, being in the city, and the man because he hath humbled his neighbour's wife. So thou shalt put away evil from among you. Are you listening, ladies?